10 to 20. Rain likely tonight. Low temperature at 39. Northwest wind at 15 to 20.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. Hope you had a terrific weekend. Thanks for starting your another week with us. Appreciate it. Okay, let's get going.
First with the news and first to talk about it. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 and Kello.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show this Monday, November 18th. It's great to have you along. The big story this morning is the president's administration allowing Ukraine now to use U.S.-provided weapons to strike deeper into Russia. And this is a big story this morning. So this is a big change. Washington's policy in the Ukraine-Russia conflict has been that they could not use these weapons to strike deep into Russia. And so now apparently that is changing. And there's a lot of reaction to this. A lot of folks are fearing that maybe then there's an effort here to try to allow this to escalate then into World War III and what might happen. So I'm just trying to let you know what's happening. So the Biden administration now allowing Ukraine to use long-range missiles inside Russia. And since the beginning, the president had said, with these U.S. weapons, he wouldn't allow that to have occurred, but now he's easing the limitations on how they can use those weapons coming from the U.S. So the president's decision came as Russia then just unleashed a barrage of their own missiles into Ukraine over the weekend. Ukrainian authorities said 10 people, including 2 children, were killed, dozens injured in a Russian strike on a residential building. Earlier in the day yesterday, now this yesterday we're talking about, Russia launched its largest attack against Ukraine since August. Once again, targeting power plants, energy infrastructure across the country. Ukrainian officials said at least 5 people were killed in those strikes. And President Zelensky of Ukraine on Telegram said about 120 missiles and 90 drones were fired into the country. And Ukrainian air defenses down more than 140 of them. He said more than 140 targets. So that's a very big story this morning. And we'll keep you updated on that over the course of the morning via Fox News Radio. All right, other stories this morning. Netflix had that big Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight Friday night at AT&T Stadium, and it basically people broke Netflix. The streaming traffic was so huge that it became a big problem for Netflix. And they released a statement. I think that, this is the CTO of Netflix said, with so many people trying to watch this, it created a lot of technical challenges for them, which the launch team tackled brilliantly by prioritizing stability of the stream for the majority of viewers. She said, I'm sure many of you have seen the chatter in the press and on social media about the quality issues. Yeah, buffering was a huge problem. You had a lot of people buffering. So a lot of people are upset. They're Netflix subscribers. They wanted to see this much promoted, event. And she went on to say, we don't want to dismiss the poor experience of some members. And no, we have room for improvement, but still consider this event a huge success. So this is now again, Netflix will be doing an NFL doubleheader on Christmas. You know how much that gets watched. I mean, the NFL on Christmas, you got many, many millions of families that will be tuning in to see the games on Christmas. It'll be the Chiefs and the Steelers and the Ravens and the Texans coming up on Christmas Day. So Netflix said on X on Saturday, 60 million households around the world tuned in live to watch Paul versus Tyson. The boxing mega event dominated social media, which it was last week, shattered records, and even had our buffering systems on the ropes. So they're recognizing that it was problematic for those who were trying to watch via the stream, and then I'm seeing some reviews of the whole thing. It's and I had a feeling going into this. I'm like, I just think it's a lot of hype. I think everything surrounding this, it's all a bunch of hype. But I wasn't saying that loudly because I thought, if folks want to tune in, absolutely. That's, knock yourself out, have fun. Unfortunately, there were so many people tuning in that Netflix couldn't handle it. So it will be interesting to see as whether or not Netflix is going to be able to handle the NFL coming up with those games on Christmas Day. Other stories trending this morning. Bones Jones kept his undisputed UFC World Heavyweight Champion title with a win on Saturday. Donald Trump was there ringside. And so Jones broke into, Donald Trump's signature dance, and looking down at the president as he's looking at Trump, and Trump's got a big grin on his face. So that's a big story also this morning. So Jones dance pointed to Trump, and then Trump with a grin on his face gave a thumbs up. So during his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, he also gave a shout out to Trump. He said a big, big thank you to President Donald Trump for being here tonight, he said. So then he started chanting USA, USA, and the crowd, of course, joins in. And now we're talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump last night selected Brendan Carr to be the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. And Trump praised Carr as a warrior for free speech, which he has been. He really has been. Trump said he's someone who has fought against the regulatory lawfare that has stifled Americans' freedoms, held back our economy. And he said Carr will end the regulatory onslaught that has been crippling America's job creators and innovators. So Carr thanked Trump on X. He said, I'm humbled and honored to serve as chairman of the FCC, because he's been on the FCC since 2012. Brendan Carr has, since Trump put him there. So he's been on the FCC since 2012, and now he will take over as the chair. It'll be interesting to see, I've been a supporter of him. Now as a broadcaster, I have a different point of view probably than a lot of folks, but I have been a supporter of his. Other stories that I think you'll want to know about this morning. House Speaker Mike Johnson is was reacting to the decision about Matt Gaetz, and we talked about that last week. So on Friday, Johnson urged the House Ethics Committee not to release the report on their investigation into the alleged sexual impropriety from Gaetz. And he said the House shouldn't release reports on people who are no longer members of the body. And then he followed that same train of thought on CNN State of the Union over the weekend. Jake Tapper was pressing him on this. And Johnson said, in urging the House then against releasing the report, he said, what I have said with regard to the report is that it should not come out. And why? Because Matt Gaetz resigned from Congress. He's no longer a member. There's a very important protocol and tradition and rule that we maintain that the House Ethics Committee's jurisdiction does not extend to non-members of Congress. I think that would be a Pandora's box. I don't think we want the House Ethics Committee using all of its vast resources and powers to go after private citizens, and that's what Matt Gaetz is now. So he then was, Tapper asked, well, does the Republican Party then still care about the character of its, Republicans? And Johnson said, sure, it's an important issue for anyone in leadership. This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believed and what they delivered with the mandate in this election is the demand that we shake up the status quo. It's not working for the American people. So to use the term in the opening about how these are disruptors, I think that's by design, said Mike Johnson. Newt Gingrich, the former Speaker of the House, was on Newsmax talking about this as well, and the reactions that, and they were talking about Pete Hegseth as Donald Trump's pick for a defense secretary. And Gingrich said, I'm watching President Trump create the most reform-oriented cabinet in my lifetime, he said. This is Newt Gingrich yesterday. Actually, he was on New York radio yesterday morning. And he said that these are disruptor nominees, and he said they need to conduct a complete overhaul at the Pentagon, he said. He said the choices for the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Hegseth would make an amazing team, Gingrich said. And then he said, but they're going to face, these nominees are, Gingrich believes, historic obstruction, he said. And he said it's going to take enormous courage and resilience on the part of Pete Hegseth to survive over there, because the whole old order is going to try and destroy him. I've been actively involved in thinking about and working on defense for an extraordinarily long time. And I can tell you, the building needs a very complete overhaul, Gingrich says. And so he's saying this is not going to be easy for them. He said, I had one senior person in the military who retired, who was working with Trump, who said he would recommend the president have every 3- and 4-star general retire and then go down to 2 stars to pick a whole new generation of leaders. He thinks between Obama and Biden, the whole system has just been undermined and corrupted, and which we have seen. Absolutely, we've seen. Now, for those of you I know are angry about Senator John Thune, Gingrich talked about Thune. And he said, Thune is a good guy who bridges everybody. And he said that Mike Johnson has the hardest job in Washington today with the slimmest majority in House of Representatives. So Gingrich speaking very complimentary of Senator John Thune. And he said, I think one of Trump's commitments ought to be to try to turn the cities red so that they actually have jobs, have safety, and have decent, honest government. Now, that's a pretty good project, he said. Oh, yeah, it would be huge. That would be a huge, huge undertaking. Those of you who remember Rick Santorum, he was also on Newsmax yesterday. Former U.S. Senator Rick Santorum. He's saying, I'm fairly impressed with the group that Trump has picked, he said. I think he's picked people who are disruptors in positions that need disruption. And he said, some are not. He said, for instance, Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. They're not necessarily disruptors, but other departments such as Health and Human Services need some disruption. And he said, I would argue that the Justice Department does too. Whether those appointments, particularly the last two, will be successful is another matter, he said. Other stories, Vivek Ramaswamy is previewing the sweeping change that he and Elon Musk will make to the U.S. government through the Department of Government Efficiency. And he said, because he and Musk are both businessmen, not politicians, he said, allowing them to rework the system from the outside, they will be moving to make some quick wins in the first few months of Trump's administration. And he said they'll lay the work then for Congress to continue the work of the agency in the future. He said members of Congress are only focused on what they can achieve within 2 years. The Department of Government Efficiency is focused on the next 250 years. And he said that's why deep cuts are needed. We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright, he said. He was on Fox Sunday Morning Futures yesterday on Fox. He said, we expect mass reductions enforced in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts of federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us. So he also talked about the dirty little secret of how most people in Washington, D.C.'s federal agencies don't show up to work. It's a way to determine who these people are would be to mandate that they attend work in person. He also contended that various agencies could be moved out of D.C. to areas where they would be held more accountable by the people. Also, there's an incredible piece this morning at the Washington Examiner. It's an exclusive that they have regarding Iowa Senator Joni Ernst and the Internal Revenue Service. She is looking at the amount of waste and tax waste coming from the IRS. There are over 800 Internal Revenue Service employees who owe millions in back taxes, which is absolutely incredible. So she sent a letter. She's hoping the level of tax waste will be squashed then by the Department of Government Efficiency we were just talking about. And so she sent a letter then earlier this month shared it with the Washington Examiner. And the IRS noted they've got, there are over 2,000 employees who reportedly have balances totaling more than $12 million. And of those, 800 employees still have not paid overdue taxes. And Ernst, in a statement, said, "We haven't seen a tax revolt like this since the Boston Tea Party. If hardworking Americans dodge taxes, they're faced with steep fines and imprisonment. But it appears that tax collectors in Washington believe those rules are for thee, but not for me," said Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. So you've got over 800 IRS employees who owe millions in back taxes. And this was revealed in an audit that was pushed by Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. So pretty incredible. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's so great to have you along. It's 6:26, partly cloudy and 35. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. See in-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
What is Agility Plus? It's the new Medicare supplement Plan G coverage from Avera Health Plans that gives you more.
More benefits at a lower cost.
More comprehensive coverage like physicals plus heart, vascular, and hearing screenings.
That's the Avera Health Plan's new Medicare supplement Agility Plus Plan G. Contact your local agent or request a quote online. AveraHealthPlans.com/Medicare. Network restrictions apply with select plans. A Plan G policy may not cover all of your medical expenses. Neither Avera Health Plans nor its agents are connected with Medicare or state or federal government.
It's harvest season, and Butler Machinery has the deals you need to get the job done right. From financing on new and used ag equipment to discounts on AGCO parts, Butler Machinery has you covered. Take 10% off AGCO diamond roller chains, filters, and fluids and parts during maintenance inspections now through the end of the year. Visit your nearest Butler location or visit butlermachinery.com. Butler Machinery, your partner in and out of the field.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Rain becoming likely this afternoon in the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature at 50 with an east wind at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Rain likely tonight. Over inch rain. Looks like a good bet. And tomorrow, a lot of wind from the west-northwest, 20 to 40 plus with highs in the mid-40s. That's your weather.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:29, partly cloudy and 35 currently at Kello. Great to have you along this morning. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center, and coming up here shortly, Joe says a $22 million investment in telemedicine is paying big dividends for those in rural South Dakota. Also, Advance Auto Parts closing more than 700 locations nationwide, including 2 locations here in Sioux Falls. and a suspect in the Dunham Park homicide has been arrested. So Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you here in just a few moments. It's really great to have you along this morning. Hope you had a good weekend. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
Fox confirms President Biden has given Ukraine's military permission to fire American-made long-range missiles deeper into Russia.
Russian spokesman Dmitry Peskov warns the decision, if followed through, would increase tension, and it would mean the U.S. is more deeply involved. After denying the request for months, President Biden made the decision when thousands of North Korean troops started fighting on Russia's behalf.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. At least 2 people are killed, 10 wounded in shootings in New Orleans, 45 minutes apart near a parade route.
NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick said that there were plenty of people around for both of these shootings, and she's asking for anyone and everyone to step up with whatever information they do have about these 2 separate incidents. As of this time, NOPD believes that they are not linked to each other.
Andres Fuentes with Fox 8 New Orleans. America's listening to Fox News.
News brought to you by Sioux Falls Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. A suspect in the Dunham Park homicide has been arrested. Friday afternoon, 32-year-old Walter Deshawn of Sioux Falls was taken into custody on charges of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and aggravated assault. Deshawn is being held on a $1 million cash bond. 2 people are dead following a crash outside Harrisburg. Authorities say a car and a pickup truck collided at an intersection on Highway 115 Saturday morning. 2 people in the car died at the scene. The driver of the pickup was uninjured. The crash is still under investigation. A $22 million investment in telemedicine is paying big dividends in rural South Dakota. It's called the Telemedicine in Motion program, and the state health department says it has transformed emergency medical services across the state. EMS and trauma administrator Marty Link says the idea was to create a pioneering concept never tried before in the U.S.
And that's allowing two-way audio-video connectivity in the back of an ambulance. So we have EMTs and paramedics who now can connect directly to a physician, a registered nurse, or a paramedic in the Avell eHub.
The bid to create the system was won by Avell eCare of Sioux Falls. We'll hear about some of the ways it's making a huge difference in rural areas in South Dakota. Advance Auto Parts is closing more than 700 locations nationwide. The retailer says the closures are part of its business restructuring plan and will happen within the next 18 months. The list of locations being shut down has not yet been released. There are 8 stores in South Dakota with 2 locations here in Sioux Falls. And in sports, the number 3 Jackrabbits crushed Southern Illinois 41-10. The number 5 Coyotes took down North Dakota 42-36. The Minnesota Timberwolves outshined the Phoenix Suns 120-117, scoring a 3-pointer at the buzzer for the win. And the Vikings vanquished the Titans 23-13. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9. Weather brought to you by Intech Cleaning and Restoration. If you need it clean, call the Intech team. IntechClean.com.
Areas of rain arriving today in the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature near 50 with an east wind at 10 to 20. Rain likely tonight, low temperature at 39, northwest wind at 15 to 20. Tomorrow, a scattered rain shower possible, windy, a high temperature at 46. That's your weather from the Storm Center at Kettleman TV. I'm Brian Carstens.
The Sioux Empire's most trusted name in news. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9 and Kello.com.
Here's a little fun fact for you. What was the longest Uber ride on record? It was over 2,000 miles. Wow. I give Commando for Total AV, the award-winning antivirus software, for just $19 a year right now at protectwithkim.com. Back in 2017, YouTuber Mr. Beast took an Uber all the way from North Carolina to California. Yes, the driver agreed, and the fare, a little over $5,000. I bet the tip was nice too. Speaking of pricey rides, ever open up your rideshare app only to see it's going to cost a fortune to get home? Not fun at all. Here's a tip to save a few bucks. Try Ride.Guru. Just plug in your starting point and destination, and it will show you rideshare options from Uber, Lyft, and local services that could be way cheaper. That's Ride.Guru. Another trick, if it's a high demand time, wait a few minutes before booking. Prices sometimes drop if the demand cools off. I think the key is waiting 5 minutes before checking. Get my free newsletter at getkim.com. Do you need statistics to finally convince you to bite the bullet and get good antivirus software? Well, here's the cold, hard truth. Ransomware makes up 68% of all cyber attacks. 72% of businesses were attacked by ransomware last year. Phishing scams are the most reported cybercrime in the United States. And last but not least, AI-powered cybercrimes are rumored to make up 85% of these scams. When you're not using antivirus software, you're at major risk, period. Don't wait for the worst to happen. Protect yourself now. My pick for antivirus security software is the award-winning Total AV. Go to protectwithkim.com right now for protection. That's just $19 a year. You get antivirus protection up to 5 devices. Go to protectwithkim.com before it's too late. You don't need to be a victim. Go to protectwithkim.com. You'll get great antivirus software at 85% off. That's protectwithkim.com, protectwithkim.com.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Leaves are falling. Get your gutters cleaned and replace this fall and get ahead of the predicted wet, heavy snow with ABC Seamless. Voted local best 20 years in a row. They'd like to thank Sioux Falls. Call today.
ABC Seamless. Nothing has embodied the American spirit like the family farmer. Year after year, they continue to work the land and plant their crops. Through droughts, floods, and uncertain markets, they keep that spirit alive with another crop harvested for the next generation. And for that, we tip our hats to them. Farmers Union Insurance, protecting those that protect America's food source.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word hedge to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text hedge 989898. That's hedge to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold. That's what you did. Wait.
Okay, some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
But at least you can get up and know.
The Greg Belfrage Show, with insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
6:38. Partly cloudy and 35 at Kello. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. I really hope you had a great weekend. Katie and I went down to Nebraska. There was a wedding reception in Katie's family. So we went down and stayed overnight in Nebraska on Saturday night and got back home yesterday, but just had a really phenomenal time. And there's some really terrific people in Katie's family, so we had a lot of fun. So I shared this yesterday on Facebook for those of you who follow the Greg Belfrage Show page on Facebook. I received that Friday. I go home and there's an envelope from Abdallah Law Office, which is where we were prior to the Law Enforcement Appreciation Dinner. And so open it up. Yeah, there's the photo of me and William Shatner. So you can see it on my Facebook page. And I posted this over the weekend. And I got the most hilarious text from Katie. She said, so I show this photo to a coworker, and she was like, oh my God, that's Greg Belfrage. So this is, which just made me laugh. She said, I listen to him every morning. Her name is Renee. Hey, Renee, I want to say good morning. I want to thank you so much. You just, when Katie shared that story with me, it absolutely made my day. You folks are so absolutely incredible. I have some of the best listeners. So Renee, I just thought that was funny. Here's Katie, the photo. It's Katie and me and William Shatner in the center. And she's like, oh my God, that's Greg Belfrage. Renee, thanks a million. I really, really appreciate it.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News.
All right, among our trending stories this morning, President Biden has authorized the use of American long-range missiles by Ukraine. And these are long-range missiles, which would allow then Ukraine to strike deep inside of Russia. That's a change in a policy from President Biden. So that decision came after Vladimir Putin launched one of the largest air attacks of the Ukraine war so far, with 120 missiles, 90 drones. And so apparently the president said he gave Ukraine his blessing. So he's got 2 months left in the White House, and he's telling Ukraine, yeah, to go ahead and they can use those long range, because even though the United States had provided those weapons to Ukraine, there were restrictions on it that, that Ukraine could not strike deep into Russia, so on. And so the president had been against any escalation that he think would lead the United States as well as NATO then into a direct confrontation with Russia. But the Sun says that the president may have changed his mind after North Korea sent thousands of troops to Russia in order to help them. So is that going to escalate? Is that something you're worried about? Many are. Also, while we're talking about President Joe Biden, he becomes the first sitting U.S. president to visit the Amazon. And we're not talking about Amazon, the company here. We're talking about the Amazon, the actual Amazon. The president was there, and there's also then the video of him wandering into a rainforest that has gone viral. So he held a news conference yesterday from a section of forest in Brazil, where he delivered remarks about conservation and the investments his administration has made in clean energy infrastructure. And he said there's no going back from that. Putting these things in place that cannot be changed. So it's clear that the president didn't wander off, but he walked down a different path then that you couldn't see. So there's a lot of reaction to that, but on social media. Okay, and also what could potentially be the president's last foreign diplomacy trip, as he's in South America, meeting then with global leaders, including Xi Jinping of China. So the president traveling for the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, and that's where he's slated to meet with Xi. And very likely will be their final encounter then as heads of state. Also, Russia, as we're talking about Russia, they unleashed its largest airstrike on Ukraine in almost 3 months, launching 120 missiles and 90 drones, killed 7 people, and caused severe damage to the power system in Ukraine. So Ukrainians had been bracing for this because Russia then, Ukraine has had some success with Russia recently, which is one of the reasons why you see Russia bringing North Korean troops in to help them wage war against Ukraine. But again, this was their largest airstrike on Ukraine in almost 3 months. Also, Israel is releasing footage. The Israel Defense Forces published a 45-minute compilation of some of the material of the Hamas operatives then torturing Palestinians. And IDF said Hamas is not only Israel's enemy, they're Gaza's enemy also. So they found the footage inside Gaza showing Hamas terrorists torturing these Palestinian civilians. And IDF said the same civilians that Hamas outspokenly claimed to be fighting for are the same civilians being tortured in this video. Hamas is not only Israel's enemy, they're Gaza's enemy also, they said. So it's like a 45-minute compilation video that they have released. All right, closer to home. President Trump announced yesterday that he has chosen Brendan Carr to serve as chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. He is currently the most senior Republican member of the FCC. He was nominated to the commission by Trump in 2017. So he has been serving on the commission. Now he will become the head of the Federal Communications Commission. And Trump said his current term runs through 2029. And because of his great work, I will now be designating him as permanent chairman. And Trump said that he would end regulatory onslaught that has been crippling America's job creators and innovators, ensure that the FCC delivers for rural America, he said. And then Carr on X said he's humbled and honored to serve as chairman of the FCC. Also, Donald Trump's pick of Pete Hegseth. Hegseth has been in the news, and an attorney for Hegseth saying in a statement, yes, that Hegseth did pay a woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017 because he feared losing his job at Fox News. So he has denied her sexual assault allegation. He was never charged for it. What he did was he paid the woman as part of a settlement agreement that included a confidentiality provision after she threatened litigation. And so now this is back out there again. So the Trump transition team said Mr. Hegseth has vigorously denied any and all accusations, and no charges were filed. So we look forward to his confirmation as U.S. Secretary of Defense. I think it was a woman who says she's a friend of Hegseth's the accuser, sent a 4-page memo to the Trump transition team laying out the allegations. So you pay somebody off, you're a Fox News channel, and you pay somebody off so that they don't tell their story. And so, which means what? Nothing. Just absolutely incredible. And you looked into that. That story, much like what we saw happen against, our Supreme Court justice, and the accusations of what he did, and which just absolutely fell apart. I mean, you see this from the left routinely. This is what the left does. It's just absolutely incredible. Also trending this morning, Donald Trump returning to Madison Square Garden Saturday night as president-elect. They were happy to see him. And so as he came through the tunnel next to Dana White and appeared for everybody to, appeared so everybody could see him, it was deafening, the reaction to Donald Trump. And Joe Rogan said, Joe Rogan said on his pay-per-view broadcast, he said, it's always loud when he comes in, but now that he's won, now that he's the president again, oh my God, he said. It was deafening. Also, there was a moment that John Bones Jones sent fans into a frenzy as he presented his UFC championship belt to Donald Trump. So he presented it to Trump moments after his win at Madison Square Garden, and Trump was there, and and Bones Jones at one point was out there doing the Trump, dance, doing the Trump moves, and Trump's grinning, pointing at him. Also, there was big fight on Netflix that was seen by, or not seen, maybe 65 million households were buffering the Netflix fight. Jake Paul winning over Mike Tyson. And so this is a piece, and it's typical of many that I've seen. Jake Paul's uninspiring victory over a 58-year-old Mike Tyson had its desired effect with viewers. However, it had a lot of streaming problems. There were a lot of technical issues. Downdetector.com, they track outages. Down Detector said that there were a good number of outages. There were more than 90,000 people at its peak. More than 90,000 people reporting problems to Netflix, that they couldn't see it. It was buffering, and Netflix also reacted to that. Other stories that are trending this morning. Dwayne Johnson's new film, Red One, debuted to a chilly $34 million this weekend. So it's a Christmas action comedy starring The Rock as Santa's head of security. So it's should have been bigger than that. 34.1 million. I know it sounds like a lot, but for these major films, that's pretty soft. So ticket sales were not enough to top the domestic box office, ending the 3-week reign of Venom: The Last Dance. Also, while we're talking about entertainment, Disney has reportedly scrapped an episode of the Marvel series Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It'll air one less episode in its final season. Disney has pulled one of the episodes that featured an inclusive storyline about a trans teen. So they decided to pull it. Also, Warner Brothers decided to settle its lawsuit against the NBA, and the NBA has struck a deal with Disney to exclusively license its TNT show inside the NBA starting next season. So Warner Brothers had filed the lawsuit. So what it means is that inside the NBA will move to ESPN and ABC, with Warner Brothers deciding to back out. Also trending this morning, Sean Diddy Combs has reached out. And according to reports, he's trying to obstruct justice from jail, prosecutors believe. So he's reaching out to prospective witnesses, trying to influence public opinion from jail in a bid then to affect potential jurors for his upcoming sex trafficking trial, prosecutors say in one of their latest statements. So they filed they are urging the judge then to reject this latest bail request by Sean Diddy Combs. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. It's great to have you along this morning. Partly cloudy, 35 this hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
I sit in my dining room.
Well, thank you so much, my friend, for letting me join you. Please come back at 9:30 for the fourth hour, and hope to see you again soon. Have a great Monday.